My name's Pearson. I am an artist. I paint and I do sculptures, and I'm really into art history, and I've noticed two things a lot when it comes to art. It's one that art is kind of integral to everyday life, and that art is judged differently than the way that we judge everything else in the world. As for being integral to everyday life, has anyone ever bought an item at all?
Yes.
Yes? Cool,
Yes.
cool. That was designed by a person. Person sat down, drew that up, an artist made that. So if you've ever done anything with anything that's been made, you've dealt with art. And as for
I got items.
hey, this guy's got items. As for the double standard, I've noticed that we always tend to have this idea that art needs to be a luxury item. So when it comes to art, you can separate if you want this art or not, but that doesn't really make sense if we also hold the rest of the world to that standard. I often think about electricity, which was, not made by, but, found by Thomas Edison, and he created the AC current. He also was a philanderer, and killed an elephant for science, of course. But he did electrocute an elephant to death. So if you do think that we can't ever use anything by bad people, we need to stop using electricity immediately. So if you can cut that off, Don, thank you.
Okay.
Also, another great thing that made by awful people, America. Has anyone ever heard of it? I just found out that apparently George Washington had slaves. So, can't do America, can't do freedom, can't do democracy, because made by a bad person. I think that's fair. And I really think that the main reason that art is held to this standard that, we can dissect it and we're allowed to say, what gets to be social art, what gets to be in the social sphere, and it's because we have this parasocial relationship with art and artists. Whenever you buy a painting or you deal with some kind of art, be it like theater or even like YouTube videos, you tend to grow a relationship with this person. And it's one-sided. That person does not know who you are and they don't give a fuck about you. But you tend to grow onto them. You start to love them. You watch all their videos. You go to all their showings. And you start to grow a relationship with them. So when they do something bad, that affects you. You think oh, I'm a person, he's a person, so I can cut him off because he did this bad thing. And that's just not how life works. We have a lot of stuff that has been bad and been done by bad people, but we still need it for life. I mean, you bought a house, right? Do you have a house or a car?
Yes.
Yes, you have a house, right? Yep. So do you know who built it? Who designed your house?
No.
Okay, what if I maybe told you that the guy who made your house murdered someone? Would you sell your house?
No way.
Why not?
Because I just put it in a hot tub.
All right, so obviously, what's your name, sir?
Anthony.
Anthony's line is at the hot tub. But who designed the hot tub?
Ooh, good question.
Could have been a murderer as well. But then we get to another interesting question, which is it bad if he murdered a person before or afterwards? What if he designed the hot tub, you bought the design for the hot tub, made the hot tub, then he murders someone? Do we have to cancel his future work and his past work, or just his past work? I think that if we're talking about are we allowed to separate art and the artist, yeah, we're allowed to, duh. Come on. You're allowed to do whatever you want. And I think that most people, given any time of the day, would do that with most of the things that they own. But there's this special idea that art is different somehow. And I'm not really sure. I personally think that when you look at how you should separate art and the artist, it has to do with cultural context and what was going on at the time. Because if we just go by Don's definition, the criminal, what is a criminal? Technically, we shouldn't be reading Anne Frank's diary. She was a criminal, so got to cut that out. And most of the civil rights leaders were in jail a bunch of times. MLK did cheat on his wife, so that's a criminal offense in some states. I'm not sure. It's probably not in Vegas, though. We'll probably I think that you really have to look at things separately and differently, and each situation is different. And so, yeah, you can, and maybe you shouldn't always separate the artist and the art, and maybe you shouldn't never separate the artist's art, but there is a bit of room for it. So, I actually wanted to finish this off, and this is so weird that you said this earlier. I was going to finish it off with some interpretive dance, just to get my point across, mainly because I felt like I could get it across really I still have time, right?
You do. You got
Okay, I'm going to just... I just realized this is an audio medium for a podcast. So what I'm going to do is describe what I would do in the dance so that the people listening can understand. So this is set to the song "In the Eyes of an Angel." So it's in the eyes, and I'm laying on the ground like a dead scarecrow, and then I rise up like a spooky ghost. And then I start flapping my wings like so many hummingbirds, just. And then I scoop down and I lay an egg. Then I pick up the egg and I look at it. Is the egg me? Am I the egg? I go to the left side of the stage, your left, not my left. And then I set the egg down. I look at it some more. Are we the same? I whisper, but not really. I say it with my mouth, just mime it. Then I pull out a gun and I aim it at the egg. And then I shoot the egg. But I don't have any bullets in my gun. So I go grab a different gun and I try to shoot the egg. But this one, it's a water gun. So I pick up the egg and then I cradle it for a few minutes. And then I set the egg down and I roost on it for about 8 to 12 minutes. Then I start fanning my butt like it's hot. And then I put the egg into my mouth and I eat it. And then I digest it for a while and I do some of this. It's like... Then I pull out my own heart and I look at it. Is that me? Is that the egg? Are we the same? Thank you.